Joining our ninth webinar. I think it's going to be a bit of a shorter one this week because everybody's on holiday at the moment, it seems to be, so it's very hot and sweaty everywhere, but hopefully any questions you've got Q&A we can keep to the end as well, that's fine. But just wanted to thank you everybody for your time anyway, first of all, coming on board. I'm going to introduce Andrew first of all, who's going to tell you a little bit about how he works, what he does, then it'll come back to me, talk about case studies, how he sort of maybe try and help people individually, together, families, etc., etc. So I'll leave Andrew to talk first of all, and then I'll speak to you again very shortly. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully you'll take some value from the webinar. I'll just touch on a little bit on the statistics side, a little bit of what we do. Mark's going to touch on a recent case study he did with a fellow South African who recently moved, and then we're just going to I'll touch on the process of how we've kind of systemized to make sure it's effective as possible with getting your offer accepted. So a lot of people are contacting us a bit disheartened, saying agents aren't getting back to us. It's mainly because the agents are inundated with requests. So I've put a couple of links in the chat, and if you look at the kind of house price index, everything's on the way up. It's kind of raised 8.4% recently. House prices are going up. Everything just with inflation related is all going up, and the housing market is kind of, it just seems to be, yeah. So they're getting 50 to 60 requests for every property. I think it's the same across the board because there is less rental options to choose from. So they're not being rude. I'll touch on how we do it, best way of contacting the agent after the case study. But a little bit about me. I've been working in property since 2004. I bought my first property, and 2008 I did a master's degree in property development, and 2012 I've been involved in the relocation. So we help people from all over the world, individuals, families coming with pets, all kinds, from moving over without jobs to moving over in director positions as well. So we appreciate every case is different and every case is a challenge, but that's why we do what we do. We kind of, we enjoy it, but every day is different for us, and we try and think on our feet because the market's always evolving as well. So that's a little bit about me. We're Manchester based, and we cover the North and the Midlands. Any questions, we've got plenty of resources, information on towns and cities in the North and Midlands. Feel free to drop me a message, or we're on Instagram as well. Happy to answer any questions related to property, schools, visas. We know vaguely, but you're best speaking to a visa professional because again, it's always changing in that process. But yeah, I'll hand over to Mark, who will fill you in a little bit on himself and down south.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so I'm based just west of London in the south, as most people would probably know. But again, we sort of butt up to where Andrew comes down to, roughly Birmingham and below. So we can help people. We help people from all over, to be honest, because the regulations we are very similar in UK and England, not so much Scotland, but again, we've got contacts in Scotland as well if need be. So I've been in the business for 35 years now, I think, walking around houses and talking about houses. I started off in 1986 selling houses in the estate agency, got to director level into 2007, and then in 2008 we moved into relocation, corporate relocation. So for the last 14 and a bit years we've been helping people move to find a rental house, generally speaking. Sometimes they buy as well. We can help with that because I've dealt with both sides of the coin. And everybody's coming here is normally coming here from another country for a job. And so they need help with schools, houses obviously as well, and just basic settling and driving lessons and any kind of different things, because people we deal with is generally, most people, and certainly some of the South Africans, we deal with a lot of South Africans, as probably most of you know, there's an ancestor somewhere, or you've got a friend or descendant somewhere that you know that can talk to you about this, talk to you about that. There's lots of groups which are great resource, lots and lots of chat in there. But we're happy to have like a one-to-one chat with people again at any time, just to help you, because We've been doing this a long time, as I say. So I've been a landlord myself for 22 years. I'm not as educated as Andrew is, but I've maybe got just a couple of years on experience wise. So, but we're both hopefully very good at what we can do anyway. Good as our last job, as we say. So landlord 22 years. I've been a tenant myself for the last 10, 12 years as well. And also under consultancy, I run a lettings department for a couple of years. So we've seen pretty much every aspect anybody can work with. So we hopefully know what to say to an agent, when to say it, when not to say it. There's very subtle things for us to say and do, etc. But we can be the guys who can sort of, they know we are more knowledgeable. You guys, out in the world might be engineers, architects, could be anything at all. We couldn't do your job, obviously. Sorry, I just got someone to admit into the room here. So we've got so many different people in different jobs that can help us, and we learn from them. We learn from them. They learn from us, etc. But it's our job because it's super competitive. As Andrew says, there are so many inquiries per property that come up. It's just incredible. We've never known the market like it. I think Andrew got some information on that as well in the chat, and the house price index there. The stock is, I think, halved, Andrew, I think, in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It's just super tough for everybody. If people have pets, if you have children, etc., it makes it even tougher as well. But it's a challenge that we have to accept. As simple as that. You have to bring your children and pets, obviously, as part of the family. So we're happy to do as much as we can, help as much as we can. Hi, Dean. Good to see you. So yeah, we're happy to help. So that's a little bit about myself. Back to Andrew, he can talk to you a little bit more about some of the house price index and things.
Yeah, no, it's just touching on some of the reasons that it's halved. It's not kind of basically the tax of the governments have incrementally increased the tax over the last 4 years on landlords. So what's happened is landlords, while the seller's market is quite good to sell, landlords have effectively sold up, hence the reason why there's quite a shortage in stock. If you look in the city centres, which a lot of families don't because there isn't many schools, you'll find that institutional investors have come in. So without going into too much detail, you'll find quite a lot of stock in the city, on the respective cities, which is quite expensive. In the suburbs, if you want your 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom housing, then you'll find quite a shortage, and that's why it is such a battle. I suppose touching on the process of, I think I've spoken with Mark about best way to do it, and this is personally how I do it. So I will go on the property portals and I will contact the agent first through the Rightmove link, because it's as good as an email, and it will save your whatever you type. So I'll generally say, good afternoon, helping a senior professional relocate, no pets, non-smoking, moving long term. I will highlight everything that is positive to make you sound like the perfect tenant. I'll then follow up with a phone call. If we're successful in getting a viewing, if the property hasn't already gone, even before the viewing, we will then send a follow-up email to say, we're really interested in this property. Here's all our credentials. Here's our family. Here's our, normally within the family home, if you're in South Africa or Hong Kong or UK, so they can see a picture of you guys and your house and all the credentials that come with it. So if you're coming with a job, we'll provide not the full details, but we will provide information on your employment history. So we know, well, the agent knows you are the perfect tenant even before viewing. So we make their job easy to recommend. So if on the day we do the viewing and there's 15 people with us, also viewing, trying to compete, they have your information there, probably already forwarded to the landlord to say, hey, we've got Brian, or we've got Kathy, or we've got Sherelle, great tenant, looking long-term, etc., etc. So normally it puts a step ahead of any other competition, because we're the first one to get to that landlord, in effect. And that's what's worked quite well for us over the past year. I think Mark does very similar, if you can understand.
Yeah, we have to approach people straight away. We have a lot of personal contacts with all the agents as well. Our phones are filled with lots of local contacts that we've got that just give us a little bit of a head start. And sometimes we can push people a little bit harder than somebody coming from another country. Being pushy would sound a bit aggressive, a bit assertive, whereas we can do that we're kind of like the bad, not bad cops, but we kind of know their job, and they know we know their job, so we can push them a little bit harder and squeeze them a little bit harder than if you did it from another country. Would be a bit awkward.
They tend to know who we are because they register you. So if you call up, they register. So you do have that relationship. So obviously from working with the agents previously, they know the kind of clients who we help. So that's where it comes in our favor, in effect. So if it's they know we'll work with them as often as possible. So it does work quite well. I think Mark was going to touch on a recent case study with you, Mark.
Yeah, I hope you guys don't mind sharing it. It's not trying to brag or anything, but it's just hopefully showing that we've, hopefully successfully helped certain people. And there was one particular guy who's going to move this Friday. I'm not going to name any names or anything, obviously, but he was looking. I spoke with him first, I think February, March time, and introduced him to a couple of South African friends over here as well in the financial services industry and mortgage departments. And he's looking for a property, 3-bedroom, had 2 dogs, which is always a bit of a challenge when you've got pets. And he arrived about, I want to say about May time, maybe beginning of May. He said, "Hi Mark, such and such here. I've landed, fantastic. I'm just going to try and find a house myself first." No problem at all. Carry on, that's fine. Happy day. If you find something, great, no problem. Let me know if I can help. About 4 weeks later, I think it was, I got an email to say, "I give up, I surrender," pretty much was the wording. And I wasn't laughing, and I just said, he said, "Look, this is so tough. I've offered on 4 houses. I can't get anywhere. How do you do it? There's no secret to what we do. It's just, we have to be tenacious, basically, and assertive." And he said, "Look, please help me." And this was, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So I've got a viewing book for Wednesday and Saturday. I said, "Look, have a look at those viewings. I don't want you to use me yet, because as soon as I start working with you, we've got to start charging and put a resource on. I don't want to rip anybody off. I want you to try and do your best. So if you see this one tomorrow you like on Wednesday, take it. I'll happily talk to you about it. Not a problem. Happy to try and help." He called me on the Monday after seeing, and I just thought he took one on the Wednesday or the Saturday, obviously. And he said to me, "Mark, I've seen them, and no, I lost another one. Didn't like this. Really, can you help me?" Like, okay, that's fine. I'm happy to do it. But I really just wanted to try and Dean knows this. I spoke to Dean several times about properties and things, so he knows how we work. We've been speaking for a while. And he said, "Look, can we help? We can help." Yep, that's fine. We registered that week, I think within about 10 days. Now we can either say we're lucky, or the harder we try, the luckier we get. Gary Play, the more we practice, the luckier you got, strangely enough. And we practice all the time. This is what we do every day. We're speaking to 20, 30, 40, 50 estate agents. This is our job. This is all we do. Talk to estate agents, meet estate agents, video estate agents, or as anybody else who isn't our job, you have another job to do. This is our day job. It's not going to make us rich, but we enjoy what we do, looking for people. So we found this property, offered on it, got it agreed, and it was the 5th house, and he was honestly so happy. It was incredible, because it wasn't a major secret. It was with some of the agents he dealt with before as well, but it's just the way that things have been phrased and things have been said, etc. I just said, look, we would have done it differently, because we know how to handle the situation. We dealt with the agent before, but we dealt with that agent for 12 years. So we'd had a massive relationship management we built up with them, that they're comfortable with us, because every time me or Andrew speak to an estate agent, they know we've got a good client. They've got your visa sorted, you're ready to go, you're financially aware of everything, and you'll come here for a good reason, and good jobs, etc., etc. So they know we have a good client. We know we sometimes deal with some of you might have heard that Open Rent, which is a website off of some of the Rightmove portals, which is just by landlords directly. Now, you never know who you're going to get when you speak to those websites. So I was on the phone with one of them today, and he's a really nice guy, actually, to be fair, but he said they had something like 45 viewings set up for Saturday and Sunday, 45 viewings, because we know, me and Andrew know, that people sometimes go off-piste from the main estate agent, because they've either got something in the background, the skeleton in the closet that they want to declare, or they're not bankrupt, but there's a problem financially that they can pay up front, etc., etc. And we know they will go like off-piste to an agent like that, that's a non-estate agent rather, because they wouldn't pass their credit checks otherwise. So the first thing they say is, will they pass a UK credit? And some of our clients say, look, I can pay a year up front. It's fine. We're more than happy. We've got a job. We've got a tier 2 skilled worker visa or ancestral or British passport or something. And it's like, wow, okay, so what do you guys do? So we we spend quite a lot of time explaining what we do. This is professionally what we do every day. Like, so they win the trust straight away. So this one I've spoken to about today, and I wasn't going to mention this actually, I've just come onto it. So sorry about that. But of these 45 viewings, he said, look, you've got a couple, they've got some pets, yes, but you can pay up front, yes, there's no credit. We had a good job where we were back in South Africa, etc., etc. And he said, look, I'm happy to go with you. I said, don't we want to meet them? I said, no, I'm more than happy. I said, look, I'd be comfortable if you met them. So we organised a Zoom phone call between everybody. I said, you can ask any question you like. There's no secrets. No, I've told you everything I know about them. Ask them anything you like. Really good conversation. The guy was a really lovely guy. And I think we're just going to agree on the terms and conditions tomorrow. But effectively, it sold itself, but it's natural to what we do. Me and Andrew do it all the time. So we're not trying to oversell anything. We can't. You'd be spotted a mile off anyway. But when we pick up the phone to an estate agent, and Andrew knows this, if we get, with respect to millennial 20-year-old who picks up the phone, we have to treat them differently to the 50-year-old or 55-year-old that's got a bit of grey hair, that we can maybe push them a bit harder, a bit tougher with them. Everybody's different, and not every year the millennials are getting younger, and every year we're getting older and hopefully a little bit wiser. But it does work, and it's still enjoyable to see people that we've made a little bit of a difference. Trying to find them a house is quite a big thing, but it's one part of many things that with pets and kids and jobs. I tip my hat to anybody thinking of moving anywhere in the world. It's just, I don't think I could do it, to be honest, but I help people come into the UK. So that's that's the case study that extended a bit. Sorry guys. Back to you, Andrew.
No, it's good to hear, because like you say, it's you build the property CV around the client, don't you? So
yeah,
every case is different, and it's just, we put it in the best positive spin, and normally it's we're successful. But if we lose out on the first property or 2-3 properties, we go again, don't we? So
yeah, we have to. Yeah, we're very resilient, and our clients are very resilient as well, because we can sometimes get something pretty quickly, or it can take 2 or 3 times, and it's like, wow, we've got to move really quickly. I said, well, we just have to say we've got to move quickly, but like, we don't want to push people into a corner, but we have to advise them that if it's right, or if it's not right, we wait. It's fine. It takes as long as it takes. It's not a problem. But there's not lots and lots of choices. It's a shame, because as Andrew knows, like 4 or 5 years ago, we'd have people in the car. We could drive people around 8, 10, 15 properties in the good old days. And we could wait a day or so. We'd have choice. Yeah. Now if we have someone in the car, which is very rare, we might have 2 or 3 viewings, Andrew.
Yeah.
And if you don't choose something that day, you've got 1 or 2 left.
Yeah.
So it's like incredible. But hopefully it will change. It will get a bit more comfortable. But yeah,
I think we take more. Well, I won't say more pleasure, but the more challenging, you feel more rewarded. Because I had a lady. She was 62, semi-retired with 3 dogs, and it took me 3.5 months, about 300 phone calls.
Oh yeah.
And it was just, I was crying, nearly crying some nights, and hitting the whiskey. And I was like,
I think you were crying, Andrew. I remember you telling me you were crying.
I couldn't believe it. I was just so happy. And she's in, she's happy, she's met the neighbours.
Good.
Yeah, settled in, and really like glad to be here. But at that age, fair play to anyone doing such a big move. But she had a son here at the university and just wanted to try a new lifestyle. So yeah, fair play. I think we were just going to open up the floor to any questions, weren't we? Because obviously with property, schooling, visas, we can help where we want, but where we can, but it's so complex. We've got a couple of partners who kind of move up and Brighton backs who we know are good. We can put you in touch with them, because we don't want to give you wrong information on such important questions on that side. But property, schooling, anything like that, we're open up to any questions, and if we don't know the answer, I'm sure we know someone who does, but hopefully we do. So any questions are welcome.
Any takers? Dean, come on, Dean. It's Dean, by the way, everyone. It's not Charlene. So just as you've worked out.
You're on mute, Dean.
You're on mute. we've all done this, all thinking we're talking as well. So it's like.
How's that?
Hey Dean, how you doing? That's
Oh,
better.
you can hear me now.
Oh, good. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I was just saying that Charlene, she's much prettier. Thank goodness. So I was actually wanting to ask you, Mark, the last time we were chatting. I'm sorry, I feel a little bit like now, like wanting to actually reciting it in my head. It's going to sound like, geez, what do you expect from us, Dean? But are you guys able to pick us up at the airport? I'm sorry. I know that's that's like, I was just thinking, if we're going to our house, I mean, if there's a place that we found,
yeah,
obviously we don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we're moving to Wales.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to be landing in what's it, in Gatwick or in Heathrow. So yeah, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have a car or anything else like that. And so I was wondering,
we've never fully been asked it, to be fair, but we can talk about it, Dean. We're sort of about, I mean, you want to be the biggest trip, don't you, from London to Wales? The whole of the M4 we're going to pretty much cover then, or something like that. We could sort of, we know people, if it's not, the thing is, I've offered to do it to people before generally, but normally people have lots of luggage. I don't have a big car. Yes. And have a car seat for my grandkids as well, so we don't have the space to do it. And someone got let down just before the Jubilee weekend and said, can you pick us up the airport? I said, I would do it, it's not a problem, but you've got 5 big suitcases. You've told me this, I know, and I can get like 1 small suitcase in my rubbish car. It's crazy. So, but we can, I would always speak to people who have done that to say who they use themselves as well. At the moment, hopefully, yeah, you might need like a minibus type thing to get all the things. Or could you even, this could be for another time, is there a closer flight rather than London Heathrow, or is that going to be like, that's obviously the well, or train maybe, or something? Maybe it's another option.
Yeah, look, you see, this is the thing. I mean,
we can talk about it.
No. Yeah. And so, okay, so I mean, I'm sure that's logistics. It's not absolutely critical in that, but glad I put it out there.
No, but I was happy to try and talk about it, because you might say, actually, I know a friend who's actually got to go to Wales on something, you know, and some of the Safa groups, I said, actually, can you guys pick me up and I'll petrol money and
we hope, hey?
Yeah, that's fine. We're still to get you over to this year.
So so the two things would be, okay, so there's a very strong possibility that my wife and my daughter will be coming first before I will. However, here's a very broad question. I mean, and it's because we're quite in the dark about this. So, you know, from listening to everybody on the groups, and it's okay, well, where do you stay? How do you choose a place? And then, you know, it's all about, okay, well, find a place that's close to the school you want your kids to go to, or close to your work and so on like that. And that's all well and good. But, you know, a lot of that, especially when it comes to the school, we're only going to find out when we get to the UK. And, you know, so that's the thing. How do we, so in Wales, I mean, how do we actually know where to stay? And, you know, we're figuring that out. I mean, we're doing all the research that we can.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we're going through the process according to what the Home Office wants, you know, looking for work and so on. But, you know, how will we actually just end up knowing? So what I want to know is, if we say, okay, look, oh man, I forgot all the names in Wales now.
Don't worry.
Out of my head. So one name that sticks out is Swansea. Okay, so it's okay. We want to stay in Swansea because maybe I found a job there. You don't find anything there. You find something somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm wondering if wherever we can actually land our feet in Wales, that's where, you know, we've got to be. We might have the idea of where we want to stay.
Yeah. And
might not be able to get there because, as you said, there is quite a shortage. Specifically if we're coming with 3 dogs. So my daughter's all game for wanting to stay on a farm. She's pretty sold out on that. She says as long as there's horses there, she'll pay her way, clean stables and whatever else like that. She won't clean her room though, but she'll clean the stables.
Of course.
So yeah, so is it sometimes like that, you know, that, look, as I said, we want to stay in a certain area in Wales. Okay, so we know we want to stay in Wales.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of footprint you guys have got there, but it might
I
come
moved
down
someone. Sorry, Dean. Go on.
so it might just be a thing of, yes, Dean, we've got a footprint down there in Wales, but we can't necessarily guarantee you the area. And, you know, and let's say a month before you find a place and you say, look, Dean, this is nowhere close to where you wanted to stay, but it is suitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of where we're at. So it's
Yeah.
like maybe it's like a bit of a gamble. Sorry if I sound so cohesive and ambiguous.
No, it's a common occurrence. Is whether it could be in England or Wales, it could be any area. To be fair with you, I moved someone to Cardiff 3 weeks ago, and I've got another couple, lovely couple they've got 4 cats actually. They want to. I've been speaking to them since September last year. They're now going to be ready September this year. So we're now at that end of that journey. And when they first ever spoke to me, said to me, Mark, we want you to find this house. We're really happy with what you said, blah, blah, blah. We want to live in Wales. I said, okay, great. Whereabouts in Wales? He said, just Wales. Okay. Please narrow it down a little bit, because we've got to try and help you. We want to try and help you. And we're kind of going probably Cardiff, Swansea area again as well. So that's the third person. And then Cheetown's asked me separately as well. I've got to speak to him about Cardiff as well. So Wales, we could be 4 people in and around Cardiff area, let's just say, kind of thing. Yes. So Cardiff, Swansea are the 2 big named areas in the southwest there, because you're just off the motorway, the M4 as well. So there's some good, there should be some good opportunities. I think your business, you may not need to be the local location as such, as we discussed before. So it could be, but if you're near a bigger town, there's generally, as Andrew would know, there's generally more opportunities, aren't there, in the bigger cities and things like that kind of thing. And the Welsh cities would still be big, not as big as London, because London, Birmingham, Manchester are all very big. But at least, and we do this often, and Andrew would sort of back me up. We often get people say, I want to live in Manchester or Birmingham, etc. But when you start looking at, actually, you end up wanting to living in Leicester or Staffordshire or somewhere slightly different. And no one's going to know that. No one can know that. It could be the job changes. I've had people change areas all the time, where I've sort of seen them going across the country and end up in this particular area. And I just say, look, it's absolutely fine. Keep looking at different places. Listen to the SAFA groups, listen to what people say, and give you different opinions, because everybody's got a different opinion of a good area. And it could be that one area could be better than another area, in your opinion. So that's fine. But it's great to see, you know, the difference in areas, and obviously there's a price difference as well. Wales is a little bit cheaper, quite a lot cheaper, to be fair. England is very expensive, so, you know, very, very expensive. But it can depend. So it could be with you, Dean. It could be, we could say we're looking Cardiff, Swansea, let's just say originally. We may end up in Merthyr Tydfil, which is still near Cardiff, kind of thing, but one of those areas. It could be any one of the areas up here, as you see me up behind the map. But it changes all the time. We often say to people, if you look at when you first register with us and we send you our client information form to say, this is where I'd like to live and what I'd like to live in, what you find in the end generally doesn't always replicate what you ideally thought you wanted to look for, because either it doesn't exist, or the price or the availability of something. But we just, it's just a filter. We don't know. We have the best way to find out. And sometimes we might say to people, we're not trying to get you to spend more money, but we might need to say, look, actually, you might need to just expand the area a little bit here, a little bit there. There seems to be a few more on this side, not that side, but let us know what you think. You might say we can spend a bit more. So we're not trying to get you to spend more money. We're just trying to give you a few more options. There's never lots and lots of options, but just create. It could be that you need a 3-bedroom. Can you live in a 2-bedroom, not a 3-bedroom, or 4 and a 3, etc., etc. Doesn't have to be a big garden, but if you're near the rural farms, like we discussed with the dogs and things like that, and I think that could be an option. But the thing that we are always, all the time, we have to be flexible with everything, because things change all the time, and we have to be agile. We've had people that have said, and Andrew said this many times, well, we've said people looking in this certain area, but then actually say, oh, they've got to pivot because a job's been changed to this area. That's fine. It happens. We just rechange it. You start again. That's what we do. It's like no one's fault. It's just, we get up with it. We just, that's fine. So we were looking in this area. We're getting quite comfortable. Now we've got to change. So, okay, it could be cheaper area. It could be dear area. We won't know. But if offices change, and there's a bit more blended approach now to working, obviously, so you're not having to be as office space as people used to be. But we just have to work. You don't worry about having a set area exactly. And it could be if your wife and daughter come over first, they might actually come to Cardiff originally, initially, say, actually, I prefer Swansea, or I want to go to Llandudno or something like that. Or another area. I've got friends in Aberystwyth in West Wales as well. So it could be just very, very different, very different. So I wouldn't worry about exactly where you need to be, because you won't know what you don't know. It's impossible. You may get to Cardiff, and Cardiff's really nice and big, and castle and stadiums and things, but you might think, actually, I prefer this part of Swansea. That's fine. Everybody in the group may prefer Cardiff, but when you get there, you think, actually, in my heart, I actually feel more comfortable here than over there. That's fine. You won't know.
Sure.
You won't know until you go there.
Until you get there, yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Kathy's touched on the chat about renting like somewhere for the first 30 days, and that's if, well, Mark will know as well, if it's a corporate moves in effect, what happens is they tend to get 30 days temporary accommodation. So people will arrive and then find somewhere and move in within 30 days. The only downside is that it's quite expensive for that 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's whether, it depends on finance. Some people just want somewhere to move in ready, especially if you're arriving with the 3 dogs, you'll probably struggle to find an Airbnb or a serviced accommodation that will allow 3 dogs basically. So that's the only thing, but it's an option. Touching on schools as well, it's a bit chicken and egg, because until you have an address, the council tend to say, well, what's your address? And you go, well, I don't know, because I'll find a school with availability. So
I just realized something else.
Yeah, that is a tricky one, to be honest. And I will phone schools direct, but the council won't give you an answer till you have an address. I will phone. So if we say Chester, for example, I will find an area, a good family area like Hoole or Upton. I'll phone all the schools in that area, say, have you got availability for a year 2 girl? And normally they will say, well, you'll speak to the council, or they will know. And some of the admissions teams are friendly and say, yeah, we've got availability. Some will say, speak to the council. So it's potluck, basically.
It's a little bit like, sometimes I think, like the doctor's surgery receptionist, is sometimes the gatekeeper can be like, exactly, they can have a good day, or like, I'm really sorry, but can I ask a question? And depends who you get, so time of day.
I just realized something as well though. Sorry, just as we were speaking. So when we go to this place, there's going to be no furniture.
Well, sometimes there is. Sometimes there's furnished properties, obviously, as well. Sometimes, but we have.
Yeah. So does that mean that? Sorry, I'm interrupting you there, Mark. Like I said, it just sort of dawned on me, because we were going to sleep.
It's fine, honestly. There's Facebook Marketplace, IKEA, and all sorts. Facebook Marketplace is brilliant. We've all
charity shops, British.
Hopefully we land in the morning.
Charity shops.
I'm on it in the morning.
I'm sitting on a nice big glass desk here from IKEA that was free on Facebook Marketplace. I thought, I'm not buying a desk. I don't need to buy a desk. No one sees my desk. It's such a mess anyway. And it was like for free. I had to put it in my car. I don't know how I got it in my car, but it was, and it's great. And no, you can't see my desk because there's paper all over it. Luckily, you don't. You only see this bit. But I'm not going to pay for a desk. I don't need. No seeing anybody. It's like, they're paying for my experience and time and for professionalism, etc. It doesn't matter my desk, but you can get sofas, beds, and charity shops, like I say, have been really good. And why spend? It's sad that unfortunately a lot of furniture from bigger countries don't fit into England, so we do try to say, and particularly for Americans, if they have a super California king, which is just like 50 foot wide, it's just ridiculous, it just won't fit anywhere. We do try to say, please bring your personal items, obviously, but certain things. So again, it's one of many things we try to do. Most of the time, Dean, the white goods should stay: washing machine, fridge, cooker, those kind of things. Generally speaking, the odd landlord won't leave them, and that's kind of a bit of a little red flag for me to think, well, if you're not going to leave the washing machine, that's not really a good thing, is it really? Or they may say, this is a favorite one that some of them do, we'll gift the washing machine to you, which means if it breaks, we're not going to fix it. And me and Andrew could say, that's not really a proper landlord, is it? Come on, that's not, you can't be doing that. But that shows into the insight to the landlord. So we think, and if he says, oh, I've patched this up, I patched that up, and think, so what if the central heating breaks down? And we need central heating, obviously, in England. Not at the moment, it's very hot at the moment. But if we're in that situation, what's he going to do? So is it a red flag? So we're just trying to look out for you in every possible way. And we can sort of, if it's with the estate agent, we can push the estate agent quite hard once you moved in and push them. We're not afraid to do that. And we're always the bad cops. You guys are the good cops, because you need to maintain that relationship. But we're used to doing it, but it's not very often we have to sort of have a strong word with somebody. But if we do, it's not a problem for us.
Cool. Thank you.
Sherelle's asked, securing a rental prior to actually landing in the UK. Yeah, we do it. I do it a lot personally. I think you do, Mark. So I've got family moving in August the 4th. All the paperwork's done, all the ASTs are in place, all the payments have even been transferred, and we've arranged to pick up keys 10 o'clock August 4th. So I'm meeting the family at the agent.
Are you picking them up from the airport, Andrew?
I'm not. No. No. They've got 7.
Sorry, man, I couldn't resist that.
They've got 7 suitcases, so I can fit 2. So
right, yeah.
I don't know what they do with the other 5.
Yeah.
But that's the main problem, because they come with their lives in a suitcase, and my car isn't big enough to fit.
Yeah.
Well, I can fit 2, but nothing more.
Yeah.
So we'll generally meet at the agents, off to the property, do a condition report, and help them. All the utilities are working, by the way, when you first move in. But we take what's called meter readings, so you only pay for what you use. So on the day we take the meter readings and stuff like that as well. So it's and we confirm any questions such as how do you work the heating, or where's the aircon? Normally it's open the window. We don't have aircon. And how do you work the heating is it's relatively easy once you've done it once or twice. So it's just all the common questions. How do you put the bins out? What colour bins go on what day and things like that. So
yeah, it is. The first prize is always to try and get a rental before people arrive. But again, I normally try, well, we both work similarly, but we try to say to people that if you know roughly when you're coming 2 to 3 months before you get here, that's when we should really start to try and focus in on it, because we might need a bit of a lead in time to give us a chance to see what the market's doing, what availability. We might lose 1 or 2 houses, we may offer on something but not get it accepted, so we have to keep looking, so that if we can get something, the first prize is to get it like the day before you come over. But sometimes we've got people renting a house a week or 2 before they come over, which is more expensive, but it's less expensive than having an Airbnb for a month, which can be crazy expensive. And that's part of the problem as well with the Airbnb, because the inventory stock has halved in the last 4 years. But a lot of people have turned their rental houses into Airbnb. So it's a solution on one side, but part of the problem on the other side, because it's taken off the stock that would have rented to you. So, but it is super expensive, and it's more geared up for corporate people. If the company are paying for it, it's kind of like less of a worry. If it's out of pocket, it's pretty painful. And if you're comparing from South African rands and sort of dollars and things, the exchange rates aren't great coming over here. First of all, once you're here and earning in pounds, it's fine. But it just makes an expensive trip even more expensive. So we try as much as we can to get the timing. But again, it's a question of the date, the time, the price, pet friendly, child friendly. We have some houses that don't accept children. It's outrageous.
I get that.
Really unbelievable.
How old are your kids? Or 4 and 2? Oh no.
Yeah.
You
It's like,
still
this is a
on the
family
carpet.
home.
Really?
It's crazy. So yeah. So but there we go. There you go. Chetan said there's lots of private transportation available. So we're off the hook, Andrew.
Good.
We need to get bigger cars.
Don't know.
But we would need a minibus, I think, for some, like you say, many suitcases. So I met some clients last week in Ascot in Berkshire, and they had about 7 suitcases, and they got driven there. But I helped them all up the stairs and things like that kind of thing. They were delayed about 3 hours, which is fine, because I just was receiving their pillows, their beds, their mattresses. It was like Christmas. It was brilliant, actually. I was still working on my phone. It was great. It's been great. I said, oh, thank you for waiting. I said, it's not a problem. I've been working. It just feels like getting a present every hour. So it's been excellent. It's really good fun. So she quite enjoyed it. But no, that's first prize, to try and get something if we can before doing that. So any other questions have we got in the group here? Let's have a look.
Just Chetan helping us out with private transportation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we need to do Chetan to Dean. But no, hopefully that's answered a few different questions for people again, or anything else. Do we have to start? No, it doesn't. A lot of people say that, don't they, Andrew? Actually, that they have to do it. Doesn't have to. It can start any time in the month.
if you want to do it pro rata, so say the tenancy starts on the 25th of July, you can pay for the month of August and the 6 days in July, 5 or 6 days. So then you effectively pay from 1st of September, if that's the way you want to structure it. But most will just start from the tenancy start date. So you can start any day. Key pickups generally any day except Sunday, and Saturday is restricted times because the agents are only open generally 10 till 3. And so you have to give them plenty of notice if you want a Saturday. But generally, the agents work differently, don't they? Some will meet you at the property. Some will say, come to branch. Yep. So it just depends. But I tend to organise all that. So I know 10 a.m. on Tuesday, we're going to branch to get the keys, sign off the final bit of paperwork, and off we go to the property. So yeah, that's any day effectively.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do what you just said. That is, that if it's on the 25th, 26th, they'd rather sort of extend it so that it's then after they've been paid on the first kind of thing. It just makes it a bit easier. But yeah, you don't have to do it beginning or the end of every month. It's very flexible from that perspective. And we always try, if we can, to try and go for. Most people don't want to stay somewhere for 6 months, and certainly the landlord doesn't want the rent for 6 months either, because they'll just end up paying the estate agent again to introduce somebody else, which they don't want to do. They want to minimize their costs, so they would normally like you there for the year at least if you can. So if we can try to organize something for a year, we either maybe try and get a 2-year contract but with a year break clause, which is a year contract basically, but it's masked around a 2-year deal, because if you like it after 9-10 months, you don't need to do anything and you're protected. So we're trying to future proof you. You can stay there as long as possible, but equally, if you move, if Dean's come to Cardiff but he wants to go to Swansea, then we've got that time frame to do it. You know, but that first year will go so quickly, unbelievable. Are there certain times when the hectic is summer months? Yes, like now. Yeah, it's very hectic because the kids are breaking up the next week after kind of type thing.
Friday or the following Friday.
Yeah, I think so, because people want to try and get in because of the school academic years. And you can probably talk more about that. Your wife's in the business.
Yeah, it's just all the families move now because they want to be in their properties for September the 1st, which is the school start date. But not only the families, you also get doctors doing the rotation, graduates. So it's June, July, August is peak for families, doctors, graduates. September's peak for students in the city centres. So like I'm booked out now till kind of mid-August, I think, looking at the diary. So yeah, it's just nuts. There's not enough hours in the day.
No, there's not. And we've had people approach us the last couple of weeks. We both have saying, we just arrived. Can you help us? Can you help us find a house? And I just say, look, we're just snowed under. I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yes, because we're going to push you in front of someone else who's already been speaking, like me and Dean have been speaking since last year, to talk about. So it's unfair to push somebody in front of Dean. I'm not picking on Dean, but as an example, because we've been talking for a long time. It's unfair to have someone for them and somebody else. So we just try and treat people. I would like to be treated themselves, to be fair. But I still have to say, look, if you see something, please send it to me. I'll have a look over it for you. Try and help you where we can. But for us to put our resource into it, it's just, we're small businesses. We're not huge corporations. That's hopefully why we get some repeat business. So we're not looking to go massive. So it's very much a personal job, isn't it, between people, and a personal relationship you build up with people, and you become sort of quite friendly with people the more you speak to them over every couple of months. Kind of you get to know them more and more, and things can completely change when you start from this time to that time. But yeah, we know when we first spoke, Dean, you were looking to hopefully get over here before. I think we talked about the Grand Prix, didn't we? The British Grand Prix a few weeks ago. That's been and gone, but maybe next year we'll get you over, hopefully by next year. But yeah, we should be. But whether we can all afford the tickets, because they're pretty mad. That's another thing.
Totally. Yeah, so I think look, Charlene's wanting to get there by September, when the school starts. But there, once again, I mean, it's extremely tight. I mean, our daughter, she's just going to land, and the first thing we're going to do is, put her into a new school. Not just a new school, but a new country in that.
Yeah.
And we don't have any idea of what are good schools and so on.
Yep.
And we've been warned. you know, by both the, you know, both the British and South Africans, that yes, it's a first world country, and you know, everything works, but you still get the schools that are, you know, just because it's in England, it doesn't mean that it's a, you know, education's good. See that part, but it's, every school is actually very different, and there are some schools that have higher standards, and there are some schools that are more prone for bullying, and there are some schools that have catered for, you know, what we would call here in South Africa the underprivileged.
Okay.
You know, I just don't want to use any derogatory terms or whatever else like that. You know, so you know, that's what we've been told. Obviously,
no,
don't just think, okay, I'm going to move in here. Oh, look, there's a school right there, and sure, it's close by, and think, because it's England, that school must be absolutely amazing, you know, because everything there is amazing. So that's also another worry, because you know, now we're contemplating, okay, when we get there, you know, Angelique's doing online schooling here, but she can't do the school that she's with here in South Africa. She can't do it overseas, although it's Cambridge, but they can't do it overseas. So we're thinking, okay, should we, you know, should we keep her online? It might be easier, you know, instead of just into a new school. She's a foreigner. You know, mom and dad are running around looking for jobs and so on like that. I just think it might be a little bit too much of a shock. You know, for a 10-year-old.
And Andrew, explain the website you just dropped in, because Andrew's wife's a teacher, so he's very well versed with this.
I can't comment on individual schools like the behaviour and all that kind of stuff. Just look at the Ofsted reports for that. But I've just put a link on called Twinkle. It's basically all the learning resources. So all the state schools throughout the UK effectively learn the same in the year groups. So that Twinkle is what teachers use to prepare lesson plans, learning resources. So if your daughter's year 5, year 6, you can go on that and you can have a look at exactly what they'll be learning in that school year. So at least you know if she's up to speed for for September.
And that's great, I think, because if you are doing something in, I don't know, you're going to visit a castle or something, I don't know, I'm not a teacher obviously, but in October, you know, you can be leading up towards that. That's really good. I think it's a great tool, great tool.
There's previous exam papers and stuff on there as well, so you can have a look. And my wife uses it literally. She sat there in the evenings prepping for the next day. She uses that all the time, and there's loads of reports on it.
Cool, that's awesome.
No worries.
That's great.
Good. Right, we've hit the 7:45 mark beyond, which is what we normally try and wrap up within about 45 minutes. So we've done pretty well to keep on going. Any other questions? Or Dean, we can continue again over the next few days. Again, it's offline. That's not a problem at all. Happy to do that. But yeah, there's far more things. But there'll be things changing all the time. So don't worry about as in nailing something down exactly, because there's no way to know everything until it's impossible. It's impossible. But we'll still help you every step. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, the sun's still shining here, Mark, so I need to get it, because it might not last much longer. I think we've got 3 days left, haven't we? Of 25 to 30 degrees. So,
exactly. It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Every Brit sat out at the back every night enjoying it while it lasts.
Exactly. Thank you, Cheetan, for your comment. That's kind.
Thank you, Cheetan.
And thanks, Dean. Thanks, everyone else. And enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Thank you.
God bless, guys.
Thanks, Sharon. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye.